The sun is bright, the environment is green with the singing of the birds to give praises to God for a bright new day that He has made for us to rejoice and be glad in it. Fellow viewers of Hope World Television, welcome to this special edition of World Environment Day, which is celebrated every 5th of June. And this year's edition is under the theme Ending Global Plastic Pollution, which is being hosted by the Republic of Korea. I am not alone on this platform, televiewers of Hope World Television. I am with Mr. Cornelius, who is an environmental and waste management expert and an environmental analyst. So please join me as we welcome Mr. Cornelius Epa. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Irene.
It's a privilege having you on our platform.
The pleasure is all mine.
How is the family?
The family is good.
And today we are talking about World Environment Day, which is celebrated every 5th of June. Does the theme tell you anything? Ending global plastic pollution?
Definitely, yes.
Because it is a serious threat to human life?
Not only to human life, but also to the environment.
Wow.
Because when it comes to plastic pollution, particularly, as you see, the environment is green. It is a delight for us because that's what God gave us as a blessing to humanity. And so it is our duty as humans to be able to protect the environment from threats such as plastic pollution.
Plastic pollution has emerged as one of the most pressing issues in human life in our time, with millions of tons of plastic entering our ocean and landfills every second. So, sir, please, what actually is plastic pollution?
If we have to define plastic pollution in the simplest of terms, we are simply going to define it as the accumulation of plastics in our environment. And when we talk of plastics, we can classify them by size as micro, meso, and macro debris. And micro, they come from actually the macro plastics which have been decomposed. And we can hardly see microplastics by the naked eye. Even meso plastics are very small, so they can hardly be identified. So in our focus, especially the threat to environment is caused by macroplastics. Like
the one that we can see with our naked eyes.
Yes, the one that we can see actually. Like the polyethylene that is used to make plastic bottles.
Exactly.
Now we have high density polymers used also to make light plastic bottles. We have low density polyethylene, such as the one used in making these portable plastics used to carry food and all
the
those.
Single plastic use, the one that you can just use and dump it.
Yes, those single use. And then there is also this nylon and also the pipes, what is used to make pipes. All of those are plastics.
That fall under plastics.
Yes.
But I don't think when we talk about plastic, many people just think it is limited to these wrappings. But the question I want to ask, these plates, the rubber plates that we use at home, the rubber cups, are they part of plastic?
Definitely. All of them are part of plastics. That's why we classify them as high density, low density, and all the rest.
Yes.
Even these straws that they use in drinking this juice and all those things, those are plastics.
Wow.
Yogurt containers, those are plastic.
And if plastic are being classified in such, because seeing how an international event like the World Environment Day will take plastic pollution as a theme, it means that it is a serious threat to human life. But then I believe those plastics did not appear there by themselves. It was brought by something or by someone. So what actually is the cause of plastic pollution?
Now we have to first of all understand that plastics are cheaper, and so manufacturers tend to produce more of that since it is cheaper and easy to use. It can be adapted to use for anything. You see people using it to tie food and all of those. So based on the easy adaptability of plastics to be used in the society, it is easier, and most producers tends to produce more of plastics than any other thing. And first of all, the easiest way for plastics to get to the environment is by poor disposal of waste.
Exactly.
Now, especially these single-use plastics where you just use and throw. So a high level of devotion is needed to be able to control the deposition of those plastics into the environment. So that is the key. Now, I'll first of all say the first cause of plastic pollution is its production.
Exactly.
Because if it is not produced, we won't have them.
Yeah.
So if we have to limit the production of plastic pollution, then we will already limit the plastic pollution itself. So the easily adaptability and the low cost of production of plastic is one of the main causes of plastic pollution. Now, we could associate also the poor disposal of plastics, and also the limited facilities like
to recycle them,
and also the lack of separate collection.
Yeah.
Because when waste is separately collected, we can easily identify the ones to recycle and the ones not to recycle. But you see, when people want to dispose the waste, they dispose plastics together with food waste, with green waste, and all of those.
But I think at that point, it comes back to the management of waste. Like, if let me say for example, if the government want to like put at the disposal of the population the waste bins, if they could classify them, if they write on this is for plastic, this is for, it will be easier.
It will be easier, but it also has to be at individual levels to know that, okay, at the source or the origin of the waste, we can sort the waste, so that as I get to the general collection points where there are different bins for different waste, I could put my plastic waste in the plastic bin. I could also put my metal waste in the metal bin,
and the leftover
my food waste in the food waste bin. So it has to also be at the individual level, not just the availability of different collection bins.
And plastics are durable, and plastic pollution is persistent. It can take hundreds to thousands of years for plastic to decompose. Because I quite remember, even when I was younger, when my grandmother was tilling the soil, she would till and a plastic would come out, and she would like, this thing have been buried for years, up to now it have not decomposed. So at that level, what are the environmental problems caused by plastic pollution?
Now, you just highlighted the durability and the persistence of plastic to degradation processes that occur naturally. And that is the key. That is the main problem. Because plastics littered around can't just degrade by the natural processes, or even by biological processes, or even chemical processes. That's why plastic pollution is a real threat, because of that persistence of plastics in our natural environment. Now, the only way we can manage those plastics is by recycling. Plastics have huge problems in our environment, because the littered plastics, when they are washed away by runoff water from rain or any broken pipe, they go into the drainage canal, and they tend to block the drainage canals, and that blockage would definitely cause flood in the environment. So just by the presence of plastics which block the drainage path for water not to be able to flow, we have flood as one of the environmental problems
caused by plastic pollution.
I will also tell you that those plastics, they emit greenhouse gases like methane and carbon dioxide. And so with the presence of those greenhouse gases in our atmosphere, we have greenhouse effect, which if not managed within a long run, we will not only have the problem of plastic pollution, we will also have the problem of global warming that arises from greenhouse effect. So plastic pollution also has that adverse effect on the environment over a long run if not properly managed.
And still on the effects of plastic pollution, you've made mention of when there is a rainfall, the runoff. Is it only on the land that we can feel the effect of plastic pollution, or we can as well feel the effect in the oceans?
Of course, in the ocean. In fact, according to a research in 2013, more than 1.1 to 8.8 billion of plastics end up in the ocean. Not that people carry it and go and dump in the ocean. It's an unconscious scenario because with the wash away of plastics by watering or runoffs and other kind of running water, all of that accumulate into the ocean and large water bodies.
And it threatens the marine life.
Of course, especially these microplastics. The fishes and other, even on the land, the microplastics, other wildlife, they interpret that as food and they tend to eat it. And it's not only that, with the other macroplastics also found in the sea, they tend to entangle aquatic organisms. And that is a huge problem also to the marine environment.
The last time I watched the United Nations program about plastic pollution, it was like calling on the different communities worldwide for us to take it very serious, because if care is not taken, by 2050, the human beings will not have free air to breathe. Just as you said, the plastics emit greenhouse gases that causes a global warming. But then the question I am asking you now is that apart from those effects that is being we feel it on land, in the air, in the ocean, what about the economic cost of the plastic production itself? Is it not an environmental problem?
That is it, definitely, because as I said in the beginning, it's easy to produce them because of their easy adaptability to use in the environment or in the society. There is also a huge economic impact, especially in trying to recycle those things.
Exactly.
So if we have to minimize that, it will be of great importance to our economy.
Because the amount of money that is being put in place to recycle plastic is not is something that if we put it in another sector of the economy will be booming.
Definitely.
All right, televiewers of Hope World Television, you have heard it from the horse's mouth. Plastic pollution is not one man's issue. It's your issue, it's my issue. It is our responsibility to keep the environment green that the good Lord has given us. The environment is a precious resource and we need to protect it. While plastic pollution is a challenge, all of us need to make a difference. Don't say, what can I do at my level that will help to reduce that global crisis? There is a lot that we can do. So, sir, what are the solutions? Because if something has a cause, definitely there will be a solution, a remedy. What are the solutions to plastic pollution?
Now, the simple solution, if I can suggest, is stop production of plastics. But since that cannot be done possibly because of the high demand
of plastic use.
Yeah, you see, even in the US or other European countries, they use these plastic bags as waste collection bin at home. So it's difficult to just say, all right, let's end plastic production. But that is the simplest way to do it. If we could end it and use other alternatives, it would be good. So for me, end it.
And now that we cannot end it?
Okay. Now that we cannot end it, the second most efficient way is recycle plastics. Recycle it. Now, we could also try to stop the production of single-use plastics, because these are the things that contribute to 40% of plastic pollution. This single-use plastic where you just use and dump. And so if we could stop them, because they are not very necessary. Like if you have to buy rice, probably if I want to stop the use of single used plastics, if I have to go and buy rice, I just take a container that can contain the rice. Even though that
It's not
even though
it's
that
not
is
easy.
difficult, but if we have to take an engagement to stop those single-use plastics, then each one of us must become an actor in that domain. I take my little bag or my little reusable plastic and say, okay, pour my rice inside.
Or why not opt for paper use?
Now, I'm coming to that. Now, the second, I've mentioned the stop of production of plastics. And since it's a necessity, if we have to produce them, then let's recycle them. The third is turn to alternative materials, such as the production of biodegradable plastics. Because the plastics we commonly see are plastics that are non-biodegradable. So they tend to persist. But if we turn to production of biodegradable plastics, then which can decompose after a short while, then we could eliminate them from the environment just by the biological process of decay.
That's where I was coming from, because if you say biodegradable and non-biodegradable, and somebody in the interior of Cameroon is watching us, have not really understood that language, if you can expatiate or make them understand the difference between biodegradable and non-biodegradable plastics.
Okay. Biodegradable plastics are those plastics that can be decomposed by bacteria or fungi.
If they find themselves in the soil?
Yes. If they find themselves in the soil, they can be decomposed by bacteria. In fact, they can get rotten. Exactly. In that simple language.
Yes.
They can get rotten. So those are biodegradable plastics. But the normal plastics that we know, they can't get rotten. That's why, as you mentioned, they stay in the ground for 10 years, 20 years, hundreds of years. They will still be there.
And still in the solution to plastic pollution, when we were given the courses, we talk about the poor disposal of waste. What if we take it as an engagement to better manage our waste? Won't it reduce plastic pollution?
Definitely, that's one of the major solutions. If we manage poorly, we pollute the environment. If we manage properly, we eradicate pollution.
All right.
So, because if we have to take the case of Cameroon, for example, we are in Cameroon. If we have to take the case of Cameroon, for example, let me say 90% or even more of waste generated in Cameroon end up in the landfill. Landfilling is our only option of waste management here. And particularly, I visited the Nkufulu landfill in Yaoundé. There is no proper kind of waste management like sorting, and then as the waste come there, they are either burnt or buried. So you see, it's also a major threat just by the landfilling itself.
All right. I believe government and businesses have a significant role to play in plastic, to reduce plastic pollution. Now we are in Cameroon, just as I said from the very beginning, this is an international event, and each community is called up to mobilize forces in order for us to end plastic pollution. Can you highlight or give us what are those actions that the Cameroon government has taken at her level to reduce plastic pollution?
I will say a lot still has to be done when it concerns government policy in waste management in Cameroon. To my knowledge, I know the government banned the use of single-use plastics in the market and all of those.
And that was in the year 2014.
2014, exactly. But till now, we still see that, meaning that policy was not well followed up by the Cameroon government. And so that's one of the things that one of the actions that the Cameroon government has put in place, the ban of those things. So we could say the use of those plastics are illegal now in Cameroon. Also, we have cleanup days that the city councils in the different communities have put in place to be able to clean the environment. But sadly, the people around, they only see that as a tax to the business people who have to close up their shops
And do the cleaning.
and do the cleaning.
They are knowing that it's a call for everyone to
It's
get
a
involved.
call for everyone to get involved in the cleaning. Not only the front of the stores or boutiques or bars, but the entire environment is supposed to be clean and sanitized.
And somehow, even though we don't have good recycling facilities, I think the government is equally encouraging non-governmental organizations to do the recycling. Just as you said, only the fact that they decided to create a place where the garbage is being dumped, I think that is a step equally. Because if there was nowhere that sanitation company will gather and go and dump, it means that we could be sleeping with debt. I think we need to give the government credit for that. And so, sir, we've seen what the government have done. We've seen what the international communities are doing, especially the United Nations organization, because we should bear in mind that this Environment Day came into place in 1972 and it was first celebrated in 1974. So if the United Nations organization took it as a responsibility to install a day like this, it means that it is something that we need to take it serious. It is easy to feel helpless as far as plastic pollution is concerned, but so I think that as we said, communities are putting things together to end plastic pollution. So what can we do at our individual level to reduce plastic pollution?
The first thing is to be aware that plastic pollution is a danger to my environment. And so at an individual level, I have to be aware of plastic pollution. And after being aware, that's the first step to the next steps.
Exactly.
Now, when I'm aware that plastic pollution is dangerous to my environment, what then
Can I do?
I have to start first by saying no to single-use plastics. I say no to it by taking a determination at my own individual level to be able to take engagements. If I'm going to buy in the market, I know that they will serve me in single-use plastics. I'll go with my containers for everything that I will need. That's the first thing.
And if I buy something like puff-puff on the way, I will not eat and just throw the plastic on the floor.
That's the awareness we are talking about. Now, if I have to also take that engagement, why should we even be served puff-puff in a plastic?
Single-use plastics.
Because those puff-puff, they are hot, and so they tend to be able to melt the plastics, and particles like the microplastics we discussed will end up in the puff-puff I eat.
Or the plastics will even release some chemical substance since they are being made up of petroleum products.
Definitely. So they will release chemical products that I will consume, and that will pose a threat of cancer in the long run. So at my individual level, I should also know the danger of that and be able to stop the person serving me things like that, especially food. My food should not have direct contact with the plastic. So I should be able to stop that. Can you kindly serve my puff-puff in a paper instead of a plastic? So that awareness too must be there. And if I use plastics, I should be able at my own level to know that, okay, this plastic don't have to end on the ground. It has to end in a waste bin. You take that engagement as an individual. That this is my own sacrifice I must make. Even if it makes my hand uncomfortable, I must make sure this plastic ends up in a garbage bin.
And if somebody may ask if like for instance, let me go to households that use plastic. A mother may decide that, okay, I've watched a program on Hope Television that are talking about ending plastic pollution. The mother decided that I will not throw the plastic in the waste bin. I will decide to burn it myself. Is it a safe method?
A very wonderful question. Because even burning those plastics, they will increase the greenhouse gases. So it will not be a useful method to burn the plastics. It will be better to collect the plastics, maybe in a separate collection, and hand it over to the waste management team of Cameroon Isakam. I don't know. I'm not sure Isakam has a particular way they manage plastics. I know of individuals who collect plastic bottles for recycling.
Yes.
I've not seen where they recycle this single-use plastic.
And another thing is that I want the televiewers to understand that, because that is the method most of us has adopted, the single-use plastic. The fact that it is increasing greenhouse gases, I think it poses a problem to our health, because while you are burning it, you are inhaling the smoke. So I think it is not a good method, just as you have said.
It's not a good method. You can't solve a problem by creating another problem.
Exactly.
Because if you have to solve the problem of plastic waste by burning, then you will be creating another problem, which will instead be even more difficult to manage. That's global warming.
Exactly. And okay, sir, in respect to all that we have discussed about plastic pollution, the causes, the consequences, the solution, now I would really like you to give your recommendation as an expert to the televiewers watching us. What is that one advice, or what is that thing you recommend the televiewers to do in order to reduce plastic pollution?
Number one, get all the stakeholders involved. Private, public, get all the stakeholders involved. Private, public, and all the individuals. Waste management should not be left in the shoulders of the government alone. Let's all get involved. Individuals should be able to create waste management companies to support the government. Yes, there are ways to manage all of those ways. So, and then my recommendation number 2, improve the waste management sector. In Cameroon, we have only landfill. We have not exploited other options like incineration, which is burning, but burning in a professional way such that the smoke or whatever gases will not get into the environment.
Not the burning that we do at home.
Not the burning that we do at home. This is burning in a facility to treat the gases that are emitted into the environment.
Wow.
That is a special kind of burning, which we have not exploited in Cameroon. So if we could have that, to be able to burn the waste that cannot be recycled and that cannot go in the landfill and that cannot also be used for biogas production, then we could incinerate them.
All right, televiewers of Hope World, we have come to the end of today's program about World Environment Day. As I told you from the very beginning, this is a day that was initiated by the United Nations Organization, and it first saw the light of the day in 1972, and it was celebrated for the very first time in 1974. This year, the Republic of Korea is hosting the event. Okay, so we say thank you for your time. Thank you for all what you have given us, all what we need to do as far as plastic pollution is concerned.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
As we have said, plastic pollution is not your issue, it's not my issue, but it is a collective issue. We have to assist the government for us to end plastic pollution. Go green, breathe clean, stop polluting the environment, save our planet. Think before you trash it out. That is our take-home package. That is the slogan for World Environment Day. So if you go green, you will definitely breathe clean. And if you stop polluting the environment, you are saving our planet. So before you trash it out, you have to think twice. So televiewers of Hope World Television, till we meet again, have a nice time. Bye-bye.